Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. We are back once again to bring you a weekly recap, this time of Friday Night SmackDown, which took place on March 20th in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we are just 4 weeks away from WrestleMania 42. After our recap of Randy Orton attacking Cody last week and our usual arrivals for the show, we see a bunch of WWE officials and security running out to the parking lot, where we see Drew attacking Jacob Fatu and pulling him through where the front of the windshield, well, at least where it used to be. Drew gets pulled off, but the damage is done. Fatu is bloodied up on top of his car. Drew then storms down to the ring and is quickly met by SmackDown GM Nick Aldis. Aldis threatens to fire Drew, but Drew is just beyond caring at this point. We then see Fatu once again enter the scene to return the favor to Drew. This ends up going through the announce table, much to the delight of the crowd, as Fatu exits the scene, continuing to build what I would currently say is probably one of the matches I'm most looking forward to at Mania. But yeah, very chaotic way to start the show, and it really doesn't stop throughout the evening, but more on that in a bit. Our first match of the evening is a championship match, which has Damian Priest and R-Truth, after winning that Tag Team Turmoil #1 contender match, going up against JC Mateo and Tama Tonga of the MFT for those WWE Tag Team Championship. This matchup is pure chaos. Of course, the MFT used their numbers game to get the advantage, but towards the end, Wyatt Six come down and even the odds, as Uncle Howdy is once again going after his lantern. I hope retaining that lantern was worth it, however, though, because R-Truth, or should I say Ron Cena, hits the AA to get the win for him and Damian Priest, and your new WWE Tag Team Champions in just their third match together are R-Truth and Damian Priest. A bold call here for two guys to kind of get together randomly and kind of take over those tag team titles. Never something I've really been a fan of, but regardless, it's a decent enough contest, and we'll see kind of where Damian Priest and R-Truth take it from here. Before our next match of the evening, we see Danhausen, another segment with him. He snatches a $20 bill from Candice LeRae, as that was the named price, in trying to help Johnny Wrestling. But as he typically does, Danhausen disappears as quickly as he appears, but not before taking that $20 from Candice, continuing that Johnny Wrestling storyline where he is kind of just laying flat on his face. Interesting storyline, and I didn't think they carried out quite this much, but a little bit more on Candice here in just a bit. We do have our second match of the evening that has the Motor City Machine Guns going up against Fraxium. This match goes hard right from the start, as you would expect from the two teams here. About halfway during the match, though, we do see Candice LeRae once again on the entrance ramp and eventually gets the assist as she lands a cheap shot on Nathan Frazier to allow MCMG to get the win here. And that seemingly couldn't come at a better time, as they haven't really been seeing eye to eye, that is referring to MCMG. But why was Candice LeRae helping them? I guess we'll have to wait and find out, but I'm not really sure. But a decent enough match here and a cliffhanger to boot. In our next segment of the evening, we see Randy Orton make his way down to the ring. This wouldn't be the first time or the last time he does so throughout the evening. Randy mentions how long he's been doing this and talks about all the special moments and memories he's created with the fans and the countless smiles. But when that inevitable retirement comes, he doesn't want to be remembered for the smiles. He wants to be remembered for the number of championship title reigns, world championship title reigns specifically, that he had throughout his career, and goes on to thank Cody because last week he reminded Randy that he needed to be the best version of himself, and that's the version that he has unlocked, and that is the one that released the heinous act we saw last Friday on Cody. Randy goes on to say that those voices in his head tell him that he's going to beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania and get that 15th World Championship run that he's sought after for so long. Our third match of the evening has Aleister Black with Zelina going up against Sami Zayn. But before that match begins, we are graced with the presence of Trick Williams and those Lemon Pepper Steppers. As agreed upon in a segment earlier in the evening, Trick promised to give Sami some pointers after watching his match. Of course, this does end up contributing to the ending, as Sami at ringside slaps Trick's Lemon Pepper Steppers off the announce table. Trick doesn't take too kindly to this, tosses his drink onto Sammy. Sammy then attacks Trick after this, barely gets back in the ring before the 10 count, but has a black mass waiting for him from Aleister Black, and this is good enough for the win. Very clear, Sammy still has, isn't quite 100% himself, but, and that this is going in the direction of Trick Williams versus Sammy, which gets absolutely no complaints from me. But a decent enough match here that I would definitely have preferred it last a little bit longer. But yeah, decent enough for what we got. Next segment of the evening has our women's WWE champion Jade Cargill coming down to the ring and immediately calling out Rhea Ripley as she doesn't want to waste our time. A little more than usual from Jade as she reminds us that she's that bitch per usual, but also that she's not here to make friends, that she's here for mo money. This ends with Rhea giving Jade a chance to land the first shot, but Jade backs away as she says it has to be on her time. As Jade is heading back up the ramp, she's met by B-Fab and Michin, to which we think, that's trouble for Jade. But then they walk past Jade, start to surround Rhea in the ring, and this allows Jade to, with the assist of B-Fab and Michin, landed Jaded onto Rhea Ripley. So, yeah, this was certainly unexpected, as everything we've seen for the last, 6 months, I'm not sure quite how long, but it's been a long time, did not give us any, ideas or hints that we'd ever see these three women on the same page. So yeah, I guess we'll see where this one is going, because Wade kind of said exactly what I was thinking and why and how did this happen. It certainly seems like it's out of left field, but we'll wait and see what exactly is going on here. But definitely a surprising bit here from Jade, B-Fab, and Michin. Our fourth match of the evening has Ilya Dragunov going up against Carmelo Hayes for that United States Championship. This, of course, after many weeks of Ilya declining that opportunity for the title because he didn't feel he was ready and hadn't yet earned the rematch. That all changes this week as Ilya has changed his mind. Carmelo gets real personal with the announce table in a brutal spot that was actually self-inflicted, doing everything he can to put the Dragon down. Some very unique sequences throughout this match. A first 48 midair landed by Melo, countered by an H-bomb from Ilya, only to have Melo put his foot on the ropes. These two are just incapable of putting on a bad match. This match is no exception. Another spot we get is a superplex reversed into a super cutter. Finally, at this point, the crowd gets involved. I'm not sure why it took them that long to begin with, but we do get some "this is awesome" chants after this moment. And after some additional blows, Carmelo lands another first 48, and that still is not enough. Ilya then hits a torpedo Moscow and then goes for another power bomb, but Carmelo reverses it to get a roll-up pin to get the win, and still your United States champion, Carmelo Hayes, once again proving that he is him. I'm sure I say this every time these two go at it, but give me a best of 7 with these two or a best of 100. No complaints from me. These two have such good chemistry, and every time they get the opportunity to prove it, they do just that. Our next segment of the evening has Kit Wilson calling out Jelly Roll as announced on the preview for the show. Jelly Roll comes right down to the ring with a purpose and asks for a referee to come down, but Kit says he's not here to fight with his fist, he's here to fight with his words, and offers up a slam poetry match, if you will. Kit wastes no time and absolutely kills Jelly on the mic. After Jelly picks his jaw up off the floor and tries to rebuttal, he gives it to Kit well enough, comes back with some decent lines, not terrible, but absolutely not on the same level as Kit. Kit doesn't appreciate the retort, however, though, and knocks Jelly down and hits him with a corkscrew elbow to end the toxic act that is Jelly Roll. Kid is great, this much we all know, but I think Jelly's decent on the mic as well. I'm not sure we need him around during Mania season, but, this is something different, something unique, so we'll continue to see what these two can kind of cook up. I think maybe with some help from The Miz, maybe Danhausen as well, certainly has some entertaining aspects to it. Our fifth match of the evening has Nikki and Brie Bella, the Bella twins, going up against Nia Jax and Lash Legend, the irresistible forces for those WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. For the first team up from the Bellas since 2018, We get into the match for about a minute or two. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, who decide to join Wade and Joe at ringside after some trash talk from the Bellas earlier in the evening, who seemingly have cut in line. That is referring to the Bellas, of course. The Bellas do look better than normal here, although I'm not sure I love the idea of the Bellas trying to pump up the crowd, doing babyface things, when clearly they were acting as heels in the back in that earlier segment with Charlotte and Alexa. This match is decent enough, although I do feel that Lash and Nia are selling a bit too much considering the size difference there. They should hold quite the advantage there. But regardless, for the Bellas, like I said, going well enough until Charlotte and Alexa do eventually get involved here, inadvertently or not. And then the match does end due to DQ. Lash and Nia then take out both teams involved here to make a statement here that they still own the division and they do have the titles still as well. So can you really argue that point? Hopefully kicking up that division again. Once at one time it was by far the best division on the main roster. And I know there are a couple of other teams that probably will want to have a say in that as well. I assume we'll see a bit more on that on Raw this upcoming week. In the final segment of the evening, we once again see Randy come back to the ring after taking another phone call in the back, or a mysterious caller. We don't quite know who it is yet, but Randy comes down, asks for Cardona to come down to the ring so he can apologize, make things right. And as I'm sure about 99% of the crowd saw coming, as well we did at home, Randy takes out Cardona, hits an RKO, throws him onto the announce table to further the damage. He then grabs those steel steps for what looks like quite a similar scenario of what he did to Cody last week, but WWE officials and security are able to peel Randy off momentarily. It does look like Randy is struggling with those voices in his head, and then gets back to Cardona, drags him back into the ring, but once again peeled off by officials and security. But the last time he had his hand on Cardona, he did put his arm in a chair. Once Randy gets away from the security once again, he does kick that chair, causing the chair to force down on Cardona's arm, and that is the kind of end of that. Those same officials, as they're walking up the ramp with Randy, are then distracted by a video on the Titantron that has Fatu and Drew kind of battling, fighting on some sort of high up railing, steel steps, outdoor building of some sort. And the final thing we see of the show is both of them falling from said railing, kind of metal railing there. So a very chaotic ending to a very chaotic SmackDown. That is absolutely the case here. Overall, for this episode of SmackDown, I'm not sure if it was just me, but this episode did feel like it had a ton of recaps, maybe more than usual. I get it. It's a 3-hour show. Maybe you don't have enough week in, week out to put in 3 full hours of television, but regardless, just felt like it was a bit more than usual. But a ton of storyline throughout this entire episode, with a very heavy emphasis on Randy throughout the evening, as well as Jacob and Drew, who kicked off the show brawling and ended it doing the exact same, albeit just a bit different and kind of all over the arena. But basically throughout the entire show. The highlight of the evening for me was, of course, Carmelo, Hayes, and Ilya for that U.S. title, because it was always going to be. Overall, just a very heavy storyline episode where we did get 5 matches, but none of them really brought anything special to the table outside of that U.S. title match. Rating wise, I'd probably give this one a 6.5. Without that U.S. title match, though, this one's probably sitting at a 6. Not my favorite episode of SmackDown, but very heavy storyline. Obviously, we are working up to WrestleMania, but we do still have 4 weeks to go. So lots of things to continue working on, but you're not every match can, or excuse me, not every SmackDown can be a great show, and that's kind of where I'm at with this one. But enough from us here at The Push. What did you make of this episode of SmackDown? Please let us know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well. Until next time, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you soon. Take care.